I said in my last MCU video that I was really struggling with the Captain America Brave New World film. And this is a strange sort of middle ground where Thunderbolts isn't. It's an interesting film insofar as it does tie into the greater MCU, bring in some of the elements that have been carried on with Florence Pugh's character, with David Harbour, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So you're seeing the culmination of a lot of storylines that have been set up. So it does feel a bit more coherent, and it does explore interesting themes and ideas, particularly around depression, anxiety, which you wouldn't have expected from an MCU film, but does handle those things quite interestingly. And in respect of like where it sits in the MCU as a whole, this is much more middle ground, where you go, okay, this actually is an okay MCU film. Of course, you have that whole Thunderbolts asterisk aspect of it, which of course was then revealed to be Thunderbolts, quote, the new Avengers. That marketing strategy was a bit nightmarish, and the fact that we all kind of knew this was teeing up something along the lines of a new Avengers, but wasn't really. It's fine. Like it's again, it's having gone. If you go back to, I think probably Falcon and Winter Soldier was when you first meet one of those characters, which is Wyatt Russell's US agent. I suppose it tees up a really, or pays off a storyline that's been teed up since then, where you've picked up all these characters. I mean, you go all the way back to Ant-Man and the Wasp with Ghost. And so, yeah, this is better, but I'd still say I'm not there. I'm not as engaged. I mean, it has some cool action sequences. Florence Pugh really carries the film in respect of her character, and David Harbour, who brings the humour, but Florence Pugh really brings the pathos and the character work that we used to see in MCU films. Lewis Pullman is interesting as Bob. The fact that you finally get this character who comic fans would go, oh yeah, it is interesting to see this character finally come into the MCU, and how his powers are portrayed in cinema as opposed to in comic is, yeah, it's an interesting interpretation of the Sentry character. But again, it's sort of difficult. I definitely feel better about this than I did about Captain America, but I do still feel that franchise fatigue sense of this has engaged me more, but it's still just not getting me to where I need to go in respect of what the heights of the MCU were. But again, it's a good cast, good chemistry, some really nice plot beats and some cool action sequences. It's definitely mid-tier, which is damning with faint praise, but frankly is a marked improvement, and hopefully when we get to Fantastic Four, we'll see that escalation increase in the way that we did sometimes when the MCU did fall off with things like Thor: The Dark World, or something like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where people were a bit like, there were definitely eras before where people felt a bit uncertain, and this definitely feels like we're still in that camp, but with a little bit more optimism than I had in the last video.